Welcome to Master the Game. Today we are talking about what is a GM or DM's role in a tabletop RPG. So sit back and enjoy. In the last video, one of the topics we quickly had discussed was finding new players. So with that, I want to mention an app that you can get on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptops, all of that. It's called Game 4. It's a wonderful little app that you can go into and you can find players by gaming area, what they play, whether it's board games, card games, role-playing games. And you can also find gaming stores, any events at gaming stores. So I highly encourage you guys to go out, download the Game 4 app. There's a groups function, so even if you want to start your own local community and just talk to local gamers, maybe there's conventions coming up. The app is fully developed. However, there will be more features added as time goes on. Right now, in order to create an event, you have to be it has to be affiliated to a store. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they expand that, because I would love to see things like gaming conventions and such added to it as well. So again, that's the Game 4 app. Be sure to go out and download it today and go find some gamers. So the Game Master or Dungeon Master, depending on the system you're playing, is the judge, the narrator, and the referee. So I'm going to go over those a little bit in this video. If you have any questions as I'm discussing it, feel free to post them below in the comments, and I will try my best to answer them. But let's get into it. In my mind, what makes a good GM is a good narrator. The narrator of the story is going to be the one that's describing the setting, the weather, any NPCs traveling through a town, the smell of the tavern, everything that touches on your five senses. And as the narrator, that is where they're going to make everything more interesting. You know, obviously you have things like combat and exploration and social encounters that are fun. I would definitely say if you want to become a good game master, work on your narration skills, work on your creative writing, and practice describing how things smell, taste, feel, how they sound. Just really dig into the five senses. You can find plenty of great resources out there for how to write, for creative writing, and I would definitely recommend going that route. As a referee, the game master is going to work on staying true to the rules of the game as best they can. Now, sometimes there will be instances where you go around that and do something outside of the rules. That's more of a judge. But as the referee, you're going to try and make things fair and unbiased as possible. You want your players to feel like they know what to expect when doing something, because a lot of times if you're changing the rules as you go or not abiding by the rules correctly, it can be very confusing for a player, especially a newer player who's still trying to learn the system. And it's not important that you know all the rules, but ways you can get better at this is to really go over the rules every now and then. If you're planning encounters that you know are going to be near water or on a boat, you might want to read up on swimming rules. You might want to read up on how lack of oxygen, how that works, such as, hey, you're underwater, you can't breathe. Look up these types of things, so that when you go into the session, it's not something you have to then look up or make a ruling that because you don't know the rules. So that's a way you can be prepared for that. But I would highly recommend, based on what you think is going to happen, look up some rules that could come up. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but skimming through the book in different sections, you can find some good information there. So I would highly recommend that. Another thing, just look through your index. Your index might have certain specific words that stand out to you, such as swimming or ship speed or things like that. As the game master, another thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make judgment calls. Not everything is going to be in your rule books. And if that's the case, there's going to be some tough decisions to make. Don't be afraid to make them. embrace it, because this is one of those things that you're able to do, and your ruling should be the final say at the table as the game master. So be the judge. If something comes up that you aren't sure of, you can even ask your players, "Hey, what do you think? How should I handle this?" Spin it around on them. You can do this with narrative control as well. Well, what do you think the tavern smells like? And let the players describe it. So, you don't have to do anything one way, but as the game master, a lot of times players are going to depend on you to be the one that's making the judgments. Don't be afraid to give that control up every once in a while. As the game master, you can run the game any way you want to. There is no one correct way to run a game. I repeat, there is no one correct way to run a game. Some game masters like lots of control, don't like giving up narrative control to players. And some game masters love for their players to have narrative control. That's also known as player agency. Later on in another video, we'll go more in depth into player agency. I will get into some different techniques for game mastering, even playing the game, and hopefully you can get some nice little tips down the line for those. So again, as a game master, do not let anybody tell you there's only one right way to play the game. I know the tagline of the video says, teaching you how to play RPGs the right way, and I got a little tip for you. The right way is as long as you and your group is having a great time. And that's all you need to know about what it is the right way. So Game Master is going to have a lot of other things to worry about. For example, a Game Master is going to do a lot more work outside of the game than any of your players. I tend to spend at least an hour outside a game for every game hour I play. That's minimum. Sometimes I spend 2 or 3 hours for every game hour. Before a campaign starts, you might even spend a little more than later on when you're in the middle of a campaign, because up front you might be working on more setting things, and you might be working on things that will happen 10 sessions down the road, 20 sessions down the road. So remember, as the game master, you're kind of taking on a little bit more responsibility than everybody else, so be prepared to do more work. I say work, that's not a dirty word here. It's still a lot of fun, I promise you. For me, one of my favorite things to do is run a game as a game master. I love doing world building, I love coming up with creative ideas. To me, it's the most rewarding part of playing a tabletop RPG. In-game, a game master will typically have to worry about a lot of things. They're going to have to keep track of conditions. They're going to have to keep track of where all the players are, where the monsters are. Time, you have to keep track of time, the weather, all these things. Ultimately, game mastering is not that hard for all the things that you do have to do. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. We've all made mistakes. We've all forgotten a NPC's turn or a monster's turn, or we've forgotten a condition effect. I mean, it's absolutely normal. Do not feel like you have to be on top of the ball with everything. Just have fun, and make sure that your players are having a lot of fun. Try to slow the game down for yourself if this is your first time. I know a lot of times when you're running a game, it's easy to be so caught up in, okay, now it's this turn, boom, now I do this and this. Slow yourself down. You don't have to rush through it. That's the one big tip I really want to stress, is that if you can make the game move at your pace and your comfort level, it'll be a lot more fun for you. So this is just a quick overview of what the game master's role is at the table and before a game starts. So I will probably dive more into this and get to more advanced things, and eventually start talking about the techniques that I use and that I recommend. And I hope you'll hit that subscribe button, comment, ask me any questions. I'll go into, further depth if you ask a specific question, and I will happily try to help you out as best I can. This is Master the Game. I am Juice, and I want to thank you guys for watching this. Get your game on.